Today on episode number 622, we've got a topic that applies to podcasting, but pretty much can apply to just about anything. And that is the power of your why. It turned me into a superhero. And then we're going to talk about motivation and the fact that you don't need motivation to move. It's by moving that you get motivation. Hit it, ladies.
The School of Podcasting with Dave Jackson.
Podcasting since 2005. I am your award-winning Hall of Fame personal podcast coach, Dave Jackson, thanking you so much for tuning in. If you're new to the show, I am so glad you are here. I'm going to help you massage your message. I'm going to help you tackle the technology. I'm going to help you face your fear. Today, we're going to talk about a little bit of the mindset of a podcaster, and then I'm going to help you flatten that learning curve and get you not just podcasting, because you can go watch a bunch of old outdated YouTube videos and do that. Go right into the wall. No, I'm going to get you podcasting in the right direction. My website, I would love to have you sign up. Just go to schoolofpodcasting.com. You can go over there, click on the sign up button, and use the coupon code. Now, this is just for you because you're listening. This is not on the website. So remember this. It's really easy because you're a listener. The coupon code is LISTENER, LISTENER, and that will save you on either a monthly or yearly subscription. And I love to always start off these shows with what I call a because of my podcast story. And it's super simple. If you can answer the question, because of my podcast, blank, something that would have happened that normally wouldn't have happened, but it did because, well, you got a podcast. All you have to do, record it, send it on in. My email is dave@schoolofpodcasting.com, or just go to schoolofpodcasting.com/contact. And we got one from Brad from the Cinema Guys. You can find them at wearethecinemaguys.com. Brad, take it away, buddy.
Hey, Dave. This is Brad from the Cinema Guys. Our show can be found at wearethecinemaguys.com. I wanted to send you a because of my podcast story, which I never thought that I would have something to send you. I always thought it was cool hearing these stories come in, and honestly never thought that anything would get me excited enough to send one of these. Real quick, just a background of our show to kind of set up how I got to this because of my podcast. So we've been doing the Cinema Guys for a couple years now. It started out with another friend of mine. We quickly added a third person. It started out as just a movie podcast that we just wanted to have fun with. And that's what it still is today. It's just a show that we enjoy getting together, having fun talking about movies. But after about a year, one of the co-hosts, he had to leave the show, and we had a few guests come in. Ultimately, we found another one of our friends who she added that female voice to the show and really added a great dynamic to the show. Shortly after that, we started reaching out to local businesses, local comic shop. We've done a live podcast there. We've become good friends with the people running the store. And there are quite a few things I could say that because of my podcast, this is what happened. For, I've had the Cincinnati meetup that I've met a lot of great creators and other podcasters and awesome people. I mean, I've had the opportunity to meet you. There are a whole lot of other podcasters in that meetup that I could just name names. I mean, we've had the opportunity of going to press screenings as well. We have a couple of celebrity interviews coming up, which we're really excited about. But this story kind of more focuses down to that local business thing. We have a local theater. It's not one of the big chains or anything like that. It's a local theater. There's only 3 of them here in the city that reached out to us, since the manager of one of these theaters is a fan of the show and wanted to offer up tickets to the theater to see anything that we would like if we would talk about their theater on our show, which we're fans of this theater. So it's not a hard thing to talk about this theater. So we contacted them back and said, that'd be great, but can we use these passes as, say, giveaways for people to go, get other people to your theater with that. We'll also mention on the show, which we have started doing, And then there was a dialogue back and forth, and we had suggested we would love to do some sort of collaboration with this theater, whether it be the three of us coming to opening of a movie to kind of talk to people, would do a podcast there, we do a screening or whatnot. And they had suggested, how about we do a movie screening? So we got a list together, sent some movies back and forth, and they said there was one that they could definitely get a copy of. Everything got set up, and here in a couple weeks, we are going to do a screening for my all-time favorite horror movie, John Carpenter's The Thing, which I am super, super, super excited about. And none of this could have happened to where I could host a screening with my favorite horror movie like this, where we get to introduce the movie, watch the movie, and then talk about it and do kind of a Q&A with people after the movie. And none of this could happen if it wasn't for my podcast. The big thing I've learned here that I would tell people is, don't just try to focus on the big, huge picture. Try to start smaller, try to do the little things, and just kind of slowly grow it from there. And, who knows? Things might happen that you'll get to do not only something you enjoy with the podcasting, but you can add awesome things like I get to host one of my all-time favorite movies. But anyway, Dave, that's because of my podcast story. I want to thank you, as always, for what you do. And our show can be found at wearethecinemaguyz.com. Thanks again.
Brad, thank you so much for sending that in. If you could see the smile on my face. And speaking of the cinema guys, that ties in nicely. I love popcorn. If you cut me, I will bleed popcorn. If you cut the other arm, I'll probably bleed ice cream. And I actually went to the movies and did not get, not only not popcorn, I didn't get anything. And I'm going to explain to you what the heck that has to do with podcasting right after this. Once you start a podcast and people start listening to your podcast, your friends, your family, and people you bump into might ask you, hey, how do you do a podcast? I'm thinking of starting one. Well, did you know that instead of spending months developing a course, or let alone 16 or an ebook or things of that nature, you can just refer people to the School of Podcasting and earn a commission for every month that they stay subscribed. For more information, go over to schoolofpodcasting.com/affiliates and sign up today. All right, this is going to sound like a weight loss show, but hang with me. This ties into podcasting. In fact, this ties into just about everything. And a little behind the scenes here, I've been wanting to lose weight, and I do off and on, and I yo-yo up and down all over the place. And I was thinking about getting more focused. And I wrote down my priorities, and I said things like, well, I want to rewrite more podcast money. I got to update some tutorials at the School of Podcasting. I'm taking a class on SEO. And it dawned on me that none of my, quote, priorities involved me losing weight. Then I got a call from a buddy, Gary Leland, who said, hey, guess what? You've been inducted into I'm going to be inducted into the Academy of Podcasters Hall of Fame. And when I got off that call, the first thing I did, I said it out loud. I'm like, well, somebody's getting up early tomorrow, because for whatever reason, it's the why. There's going to be a lot of pictures. It's kind of interesting because normally I don't care what people think, but I'm overweight and I want to lose some poundage before July 24th. So today we're talking about the power of why. And when you know your why, it can turn you into a superhero. So I mentioned earlier, I love popcorn. I just love it. I could be so full and somebody bring me a giant bowl of popcorn. I'm like, oh yeah, I'll make room. Ice cream's another one, but popcorn is a big one for me. So I did. I went to the movies and I walked in and was like, wow, popcorn, and just walked right by it because I don't eat popcorn now. And there's a Dairy Queen. I love Oreo cookie blizzards. I love peanut butter parfaits. And there was one right in front of a Walmart that I go to. And it was hard. But nope, I don't do Dairy Queen. I went to Chipotle and said no cheese. I just need chicken, some tomatoes, and some lettuce in my taco. And what's interesting is normally when I go to Chipotle, I would get Coke with that. Nope, water. And then almost every Chipotle in my neighborhood is pretty much a stone's throw to a Wendy's. And Wendy's has the chocolate ice cream thing called a Frosty. And it's great because your mouth is on fire after going to Chipotle, and which is kind of this Mexican in quotation marks there, restaurant. And so you go to Chipotle, your mouth gets lit up a little bit. You go to Wendy's, get a Frosty, all is good. Nope. Went to Chipotle, changed up my order, got a water, no Frosty. So what changed? My why. Today we're talking about the power of why. And there's some German guy, Friedrich Nietzsche, who basically said, if you know your why, you can make it through anyhow. This is the quote that I went, oh, now we're talking. The two most important days of your life are the day you were born and the day you discover why you were born. And I was like, wow, that's a good one. That Mark Twain, who knew? And I listened to an episode of the You Want to Do What podcast with my buddy Monica Rivera. And she was interviewing this guy about, it's called the motivation myth. And it's interesting because he talks about how, if somebody said, Dave, how did you get the motivation to podcast for 13 years? And I would say, well, I didn't get the motivation to do 13 years. I got the motivation to record an episode. And he actually goes into this and says, actually, you don't get motivated to move. It's the opposite. Because you moved, you get motivated. And you can hear the full interview over at youwantodowhat.com. The author's name is Jeff Hayden. It's really good. I'll put a link to it out in the show notes. And I was like, oh, I am pulling that over into podcasting. And the other thing is, you only need, like I said, the motivation to start. That's it. You don't need motivation to do a month or a year. You just need motivation to do that one first episode. And if you set the road to that first episode with little itty bitty wins, when you act and you do something and you get a little win, it motivates you to try again and keep moving. And so some examples of achievable goals might be buying your equipment. Now, if you're doing a solo show, that's easy. An Audio-Technica ATR 2100. Check, done, move on. Plugging in everything and making sure, that you actually do your first recording. Oh, look, check it out. The lights are blinking when I talk. Check, done. Getting your artwork. Publishing your first episode. Oh my gosh, I uploaded it. It was just like adding a file to, it's like uploading an image to Facebook. It's easy. Check, done. Adding your show to Apple Podcasts. Check, done. Celebrate these little goals. Oh my gosh, I got 10 downloads. Check, done. Oh my gosh, I'm up to 50. Check, done. And every time you achieve one of these, it motivates you to keep going. And this, for whatever reason, is motivating me, this Hall of Fame thing. And what I mean by that is I'm not hungry. I don't need to rely on willpower. I'm that focused. It's a very powerful why. And I'm going to the gym and I'm drinking water and I'm getting sleep. It has changed the why. That's how powerful a really good why can be. Completely changed a lot of things. And I went back, this whole Hall of Fame thing has me looking back a lot at what I've been doing. And in 2005, there were 3,000 podcasts when I started. Now, new stats just came out. There are 550,000 podcasts in Apple Podcasts. That's according to a TechCrunch article. And they say the new numbers include 18.5 million individual episodes representing 155 countries in more than 100 languages. Is anybody listening to podcasting? Yeah. In fact, that same article says 50 billion episodes with a B have been streamed or downloaded since the launch of Apple Podcasts. There's an audience that's ready for your stuff. And I've had people say things like, Dave, I just want to thank you for all the hard work you've done in podcasting. And I really deeply appreciate that. But to be honest, it didn't seem like work. Now, when I first started, I had to explain to people that you didn't need a Mac. I had to explain to you that you didn't need an iPod. You could listen to a podcast on your desktop computer. It was painful for the first couple years, but my why pushed me through, because the minute I got one person to listen to a podcast, and that was one more person that I could talk about the Dawn and Drew show back in the day, then it was worth my time and effort. And when you know your why, it doesn't seem like work. It just seems like something you do. Some other side effects of having a really good why: it keeps you focused. I'm no longer distracted by the things that don't help me achieve my goal. So I've given up watching a lot of TV. I used to get up, I would watch some TV in the morning while I ate breakfast. Nope. I'm at the gym, I'm listening to music, and I'm working up a sweat. And you know what I found out is that many times the things that I was doing, they apparently didn't really give me any, keyword here, real value, because I cut them out of my life and they're not missed at all because they're not in a line with my why. If you know why you're doing something, you can see the results clearer. I talked about those baby little goals. Well, when you've got a why, those things just pop out of the ground and you're like, oh, check it out. And that enables you, again, to be motivated to keep going. And let's get to my whys. And your whys may vary, obviously. We're all different people. But for me, my background is in education. I actually have a bachelor's degree in education, specializing in technical education from the University of Akron. And bottom line, I get to help people. I love to help people. Number two, it's creative. Now, my other hobbies are things like music, writing, photography. I write really bad poetry from time to time, so I'm creative. And number three, it's geeky. I get to play with software. In the future, I'm going to give you a review of Thrive themes. And I used to build websites. And I have kind of an analytical part of me. So I get to track downloads and make spreadsheets and things like that. So it's kind of geeky. Number four, I get to leave, and let's back up just a second on this. Let's just hold on a second before we go crazy with this. But to a certain extent, I get to leave a very, very, very small fingerprint on the planet. Neither of my marriages that I've had produced any children. And I hesitate greatly to even use this word. But if I'm going to have any kind of legacy, this is it. Nobody's carrying on my name. So, that's really weird. That even coming out of my mouth, I'm like, easy there, big fella. But nonetheless, that's part of it. Not a big one, but that's part of it. Number five, I am meeting amazing people on a weekly basis. And some of them are just like me, and some of them are absolutely not like me at all. And I love them both, because the people that are just like me, we can just geek out on all the things that I love. And the people that aren't like me, I go, wait a minute, what rap song was that? And I go and listen to it and go, all right. Number six, hey, it's helping me pay off my student loans. Isn't everybody, I don't know. To me, if you don't have tattoos and student loans, you're not a true American. I don't actually, can we reveal that? I don't actually have any tattoos. I'm old. Number 7. If I lost my job today, which I'm not, I work for Libsyn, by the way. It stands for Liberated Syndication, LIBSYN.com. Use the coupon code SOP free and get a free month. But if for some reason I lost my job, I would have a little bit of a cushion until I found another job, or maybe even do the School of Podcasting full time. People often say that to me. They're like, oh, it's a bummer you can't quit your day job and do the School of Podcasting full time. I'm like, hey, my goal was to work in podcasting full time. One of them has medical benefits. I'm not complaining at all. I love my job at Libsyn. And number 8, why do I do podcasting? Because I'm not sure what the heck I would do with my free time if I didn't. Now, what about your whys? Well, maybe you want to share your knowledge. Maybe you're not as young as you used to be. I just talked to my aunt today. She's 91. I go, how did that happen? She goes, I don't know. I've been trying to stop it. And every year it's like, oh, yeah, you're a year older. And she's sharp as a tack. I'm like, I want your jeans. Not like, that sounds weird. Not jeans. She wasn't wearing jeans. It was at church. You know what I mean? Okay. Anyway, you might want to share your knowledge. You might want to get your message out. You've got things that people want to hear. If you haven't listened to the Congressional Dish podcast, congressionaldish.com, I tend to lean, I'm a little all over the place when it comes to politics. I actually think they all suck. I think they're all owned by the banks. But if you haven't listened to the latest episode of Congressional Dish, where I don't want to talk politics, but you need to go listen to it, because I was just like, holy cow, we're voting them all out. Maybe you want to promote your business. What am I doing right now? Believe it or not, I'm promoting the schoolofpodcasting.com. Use the coupon code LISTENER when you sign up. Maybe you want to stay connected to friends and family. Nothing warms my heart more than when a parent starts a podcast with their kid, because I see in the future when it's 2 weeks before the wedding and that little kid is whatever, and Pops busts out the chip in our head to listen to a podcast. And they go, remember when you did this? You were 7. Seems like yesterday. And then they all cry. That to me, and I have people that do podcasts simply because it's something to do with your friends. With my family, when people come in from out of town, we play cards, and we could care less what the score is. We keep score. Trust me, we're not that kind of, but that's what we do. And so it just may be something you do with your friends to stay in touch. You're going to be seen as an expert, whether you want to or not, because not everybody makes a podcast, but you will, because you're a person of action. It's going to open the door to possibilities. We just heard about Brad. How cool was that? And I love the fact that Brad, the first thing he did with that was give it to his audience. So cool. You're going to find like-minded people. If you're like, look, I'm just a freak. I fly my freak flag high, and where I'm at, out in the middle of nowhere, USA, nobody else thinks like me. Fine, start a podcast, because guess what? There are other people that probably think just like you, and they will come out of the woodwork. Maybe you're a company and you want to have an inner office communication. So instead of bringing all 46 salespeople into the office and saying, hey, our numbers are down, get out there and sell, why not deliver that via a podcast, and they can listen to the podcast on their way to their first appointment? Maybe you want to educate people. Maybe you want to just entertain people. I mean, I could go on. I feel like Bubba Shrimp here. We could do educate. You can entertain a podcast, get your message out podcast, promote a business podcast. There's all sorts of whys, but you need to know what your why is. Why? Because it keeps you focused, keeps you motivated, opens up your eyes to see those little successes that keep you going. And most importantly, my main point here, when you know your why, the work doesn't seem like work. And so one of the benefits of the School of Podcasting, in addition to the numerous courses that you get immediate access to when you sign up, is there's a private Facebook group for networking. But wait, there's more. We do these things called, because I think it's cute, office hours. It's open Q&A. And sometimes these are really packed with people and we all kind of network together and answer the questions together. And sometimes they're really small. And the last one we did, we had an intimate group, as they say. And towards the end, it was me and Brenda from mytechtoolbelt.com. And I asked her, I go, well, what's your why? And with her permission, I now play her answer.
My why has been, I needed something new to do. I love podcasting. I mean, I love listening to podcasts.
Yeah.
But also I needed something new. My kids are, grown. My youngest one's in college. And I've got a sort of a boring job, and I was like totally bored. Like I needed something.
That's interesting you say different. That.
And so that's why I'm like, and I'm loving it because I'm learning, and it's getting me more into social media and, the marketing end of it, which I find very interesting. It's not easy. That's another not a full-time job, but that's a lot of work in and of itself. So, learning, I was never onto Twitter, but I really always enjoyed Instagram. So the Instagram's part's okay, but it's like, now you're getting into video editing and pictures and, it's just, it's a lot, but it's fun. It's exciting. And I've already gotten 2 press passes.
Booyah. And, those press passes, she's probably been doing this for a while. She's on episode 9. And now we know what next week's Because of My Podcast story is. If you have one, of course, feel free to send those in. But that might be you. And Brenda's not alone. If somebody said, what is one of your avatars? I would say exactly what Brenda is. Kids are gone, got some experience under her belt, got something to say, maybe a little bored. Boom, podcasting. I'm lucky enough that every Saturday I do a show called Ask the Podcast Coach, which you can find at askthepodcastcoach.com, 10:30 Eastern. And people are starting to figure it out that, wait, I can get live podcast consulting for free. Yep. You just got to get up early on Saturday morning. And I'm lucky enough to do it with Jim Cullison from theaverageguy.tv. He works for Gallup. He's lucky enough to do a podcast for his job, but he also does things over at theaverageguy.tv. He does Home Gadget Geeks. And so last Saturday, I asked him, I go, well, what's your why?
So inherently, I'm built to talk. Those are my talents. I just enjoy, I don't ever get sick of talking. I'm energized by being around people. I'm energized by helping people. I want to influence them. I have these high influencing themes. We've talked about our Strengths Finder or our Clifton Strengths Assessment, and I'm kind of wired to influence and talk. So for me, podcasting has been the perfect outlet to have this global outreach, to be able to help people do things that they need to do. Home Gadget Geeks and then what I do called The Coach and Theme Thursday, what I do at Gallup, are really derivatives of the exact same thing, helping people. That's all it is. I want to help people with difficult processes and make it easier for them. There's a social reward when people say, thank you, that really helped. End of story. I don't need anything more, right? That social reward for me of someone saying or someone writing, you helped me do this, man, best day ever for me, right? So podcasting is the perfect avenue for me to be able to do that in a way. I'm a better talker than I am a writer, which means I'm a terrible writer. So, podcasting worked out really, really well. So if you ask me why, it's the reward. And I think we always have to, that's the motivation is always, what's the reward for us, right? What's the social reward? What's the physical reward? What's the monetary reward? The reward for me is this great feeling when people say they helped, and I live for that. So that's why I podcast.
Such a great guy. Remember how I said like-minded people? We both just love to help people. And you can find Jim over at theaverageguy.tv. You can find Brenda again at mytechtoolbelt.com. That is a show that is about technology in the educational space. And so when you know your why, the work doesn't seem that hard. That's my main point here. But what I want to get to is what kills your motivation. So we talked about how you get motivated. You take an action, and when you actually make it through that action, whatever little it is, you go, hey, I did it. And then you do it again, and then you do it again. And all of a sudden you go, whoa. And the other thing that comes along with that is a little thing called confidence to try again. So what's the number one thing that kills motivation? And I'm going to do one of my it's a classic Dave Jackson analogy. Gather around, children, while I talk about golf. I'm going to talk about podcasting and golf, how they're the same. But have you ever been, this is a stupid question. Have you ever worked in the corporate world? No, Dave, I've been an entrepreneur all my life. For those of us that have been in the corporate world, somewhere in that employee manual that you were supposed to read, it says, hey, don't compare your paycheck with your friend. Because there's the old joke, two guys go into an elevator, one guy farts, everybody knows who did it. Well, if two people share their pay stubs, somebody's walking out of that meeting a little cheesed. And so why? Because they're comparing things. So when you see somebody on Facebook and they're sharing their numbers and their numbers are like 4 times more than yours, instead of focusing on the numbers, focus on your audience. That's why I loved Brad's thing again. He's focused on his audience from the Cinema Guys. And let's take it away from podcasting for a second, so we can try to be a little more objective. Let's look at golf. 2 golfers go out and they check their scores at the end. And the one guy's going, wait a minute. How is that person better than me? There's just no way. Yeah, there might be a way. What if they have better equipment? What if they have more experience? What if they had coaching growing up? Maybe they have a better attitude. Maybe they're, just more athletic. Or maybe they have more time to practice. Would you be like, whoa, okay, well, I guess that's why that person's a better golfer? Yeah, there are reasons for that. And what if you came to me and said, look, I can't believe that person's getting more downloads than I am. That's crazy. Well, maybe your sound quality is very distracting. Maybe somebody told you, no, just go ahead and use the built-in microphone on your laptop. That's really, really, really bad advice. If somebody ever says that's okay, run, do not walk from that consultant. Maybe you have half as many episodes as that person. Maybe they have a completely different niche. They're doing a weight loss show. You're doing a cross-country ballroom dancing show. You're just not going to get that many downloads as a weight loss show. Maybe they have a ton more time to promote their show. Maybe they have a budget to market their show, and hey, you don't. And maybe they have no children and you have 5 kids, 2 jobs, a labradoodle, and soccer practice. It's just not fair to compare. I sound like Johnny Cochran. It's not fair to compare. Because what does it do? It takes out your motivation in the crossfire. Maybe they went to the school of podcasting and maybe you watched outdated YouTube videos. And now if somebody did that, you'd say, well, of course that person's getting more downloads. But over and over, I see people compare their show, apples to oranges, and it just sucks the life out of them. So please don't compare your show to other podcasts, because there are so many factors. I just named them all. And for the record, better equipment is not really going to get you a ton of more downloads unless you, if you sound like that, better equipment's going to help. Other than that, not really going to give you a ton more downloads. Now, what it might do is make you a little more confident on the mic because it sounds better in your head. I get that. But the key here is think about why you're doing your podcast. Think about why you're going to start your podcast. Because when you know your why, you can then focus on how you're going to, get there. One of the things we ask, I do another show about podcasting called the Podcast Review Show with Eric K. Johnson. And one of the things we always ask people is, how are you going to know if it's a success? We ask them why you get in, how are you going to know if it's successful? Because you may be successful. You might say, well, if I could get 15 people to listen, I'd be ecstatic. Well, congratulations, you got 150. And then they go compare their stats to somebody else and they're like, oh, I stink. No, don't do that. So know your why, because when you know your why, the work doesn't seem like work anymore. Oh, we haven't done one of these in a while. We're going to do ourselves a good old-fashioned microphone shootout. My neighbors must hate me. I'm very loud. But I was at Social Media Marketing World and ran into the Heil rep, and she had the coolest looking microphone, because, you know, looks count in a podcast. I'm really handsome. Not. And it was the Heil PR77D. And as I open up the manual, it basically, in a nutshell, it's very much like a Heil PR40, but it's got a little switchy thing in the back that basically lets you cut the lower frequencies. So first things first, I'm using an Electro Voice RE320 going into a DBX 286. And if we want to hear just the microphone without the DBX, this is like taking off my clothes. I feel pay no attention behind the man behind the DBX, because really I sound like this. This is me without the DBX. And so this is the Electro Voice RE320. And now I'm going to plug in some microphones so we can hear the difference. So this is me, and it's got that super warm. Now there's no pop filter on this thing. And I'm trying to talk across it. And because here's the front, there's nothing in the back. At least I don't think so. Am I supposed to be? Nope, I don't. Doesn't do any good to talk back here. I got to talk into the front of it. I guess it expects you to use an old style pop filter, where with the RE320. So let me get a pop filter. So now I'm talking with a pop filter over it. And this is in the music setting, which has all that fun, high, warm, bassiness to it. And I'm just going to flip the switch from music to voice. So this is taking out the bottom end. I need to turn up the microphone a little bit. I could use, there we go. So that's really clear as I do this. Let me look at okay, because that's the exact same settings I had on the RE320. Let me sure I got everything muted. So apparently I got to push this a little harder, but I think I'm getting a weird, you hear that buzz? It's like something's not grounded when I do that. Boy, big difference in volume, that's for sure. And I could always come in here and take out some of that low end with my equalizer. And this is my kind of my main thing here with microphones. If you've got a decent one in a mixer, you can kind of make it sound however you want. So it definitely looks cool. It's definitely got that high sound to it, that kind of warmness to it. I like that. Now let's compare it to, let me go back. So this is, again, now here's the other fun thing. Let's do this. Here's a Heil PR4, the PR77 through the DBX. And now I sound, wow. There we go. If nothing else, we're selling a lot of DBX units through this example. So this is the Heil PR77 through a DBX with a little bit of low end added to it, some compression, and mainly a noise gate. And so you don't hear any kind of buzzing that might be coming from my mixer at this point. And when I turn this bad boy off, I sound like that. So, yeah. And again, the microphone doesn't sound bad at all. Let me throw in a different microphone here. And this is an AT2005. My 2100 is in my car. So, but basically these always sound very similar. This is a microphone that, and I'm holding this in this case. I don't have it in a stand like the other one. But now if I run this through the DBX, I sound like this. Wow, a little too much upper end on that. I could crank that down. But this is where I say I've got the DBX off. So this is just the AT2005. And so let's go back through. That's 3 different microphones to pick from. It's time for the shootout. AT2005. It's slightly raining outside. Heil PR40. It's slightly raining outside. PR77 unfiltered. It's raining slightly outside. PR77 in the voice setting. It's slightly raining outside. Electro-Voice RE320. It's slightly raining outside. Audio-Technica BP40. It's slightly raining outside. The Blue Yeti. It's slightly raining outside. All right, so let's get down to what most people want to know, and that is, how much do these things cost? Well, first things first, the DBX that I'm using, and yes, it's back on, is $199, and I'll have links to these. I'll have links to everything out at schoolofpodcasting.com/622. The PR77D comes in a little less than the Heil PR40. It comes in at $249. The Heil PR40 is $308. Now, I threw in a couple lower priced mics just to compare. The Audio-Technica AT2005 is $79. And the Blue Yeti, which is the microphone I typically don't recommend people use, mainly because of the way it's designed. If you're going to use it, get it on a boom stand so it doesn't pick up all the noise from the table. Put it on the kind of pickup pattern where it only picks up from the front. And just take some time learning how to use it. It's not a bad microphone. You just have to know how to use it. Make sure you have a pop filter. And those come in at $129. So the RE320, $299. Let's go top to bottom. Audio-Technica BP40 is $349. The Electro-Voice RE3, and then from there it'd be the Heil PR40 at $308. The Electro-Voice RE320, which is what I'm using right now, $299. The PR77, $249. And then from there, the Blue Yeti at $129, and that doesn't count the pop filter. And then the Audio-Technica AT2005. And I think if you listen to most of those, you go, I don't think any of them really sounded horrible. And that's where I'm always here to say, it's not the tech. So I could see some people, especially doing video, that would like this microphone because it is pretty cool looking. And you can see it out at schoolofpodcasting.com/622. And again, it comes in black and it also comes in purple. So check it out, schoolofpodcasting.com/622. Just a reminder, I will be at Podcast Movement in Philadelphia. I'll be at the Lipson booth for a big chunk of that. Of course, on the 24th, I'll be inducted into the Academy of Podcasters Hall of Fame. So if you are there and want to see my big night, it would be great to have you there cheering me on. I plan on getting on stage and wetting my pants. So any kind of support would be greatly appreciated. I'm also going to be at Podcast Mid-Atlantic. That is in September, also in the greater Philadelphia area. So a lot of podcasting going on in the Philly area. And I hope to see you there as well. I got other places coming up. Those are the two that I will definitely be. Podcast Movement is the next one coming up. So if you are going to that, please do not hesitate to reach out, stop by the Lipson booth and say, hey, Dave, how's it going? And I would love to have a chin wag with you, as they say across the pond. So don't forget to get your answer for the question of the month in. Again, do you look at show notes? And if so, what do you want when you look at them? And just go to schoolofpodcasting.com/contact for all the different ways you can get that in. If you do email it in, please use the title of June question so it doesn't get lost in my sometimes messy email inbox. So hope to have you on the inside at the School of Podcasting. Don't forget, coupon code LISTENER will get you a discount on either a monthly or yearly subscription. Simply go to schoolofpodcasting.com/start and start today. Because remember, you don't need 10 years of motivation. You just need the motivation. Right now, you just need the motivation to start. And we heard some great because of my podcast stories. We talked about your why. Hopefully I've motivated you to go out to schoolofpodcasting.com/start and start your podcast today. Thanks so much for listening. I do deeply appreciate it. And until next week, class is dismissed.
If you like what you hear, then go tell somebody. If you like what you hear, then go tell somebody.
There is always that thing that maybe you have the personality of a wet blanket. And they're bubbly and funny. And that doesn't mean that you shouldn't start a podcast because you have the personality of a wet blanket. But that's something you can learn. That's not a good thing to say. I should probably cut that out. Podcasting since 2005. I am your personal. See, I got to fix that. There's more to it now. Podcasting since 2005, I am your award-winning Hall of Fame podcaster, Dave Jackson, thanking you so much. See, I forgot the personal podcast coach thing. How does that... My title is going to be longer than my entire episode now. And we got one from Brad. Brad, when I have a client, I'm like, why do you want to do this? How are you going to know if it's success? Easy for me to say.